Welcome to Dynamics AX 2012 video tutorials. We'll be continuing with the production module. In this tutorial, we will be looking at how to create and execute a simple production order. For a simple production order, the stages would be the creation of a production order, estimation, to estimate the price calculation and the hour consumption and the material consumption, and then the scheduling part where the work centers or the resources as referred to as in 2012, how to schedule them either by job or by operation scheduling. Then we have the release production order and start the production order, then to record the material and the time consumption, then to report as finished a production order, and finally to end the production order to have the financial effect. In report as finished, we'll only have the physical effect, that is the physical movement of stock, that is the incoming of the finished good into the warehouse. Whereas in the end production order, we'll be looking at how the financial postings will be done and the total cost of the production order. So to start off with, this is a finished product as we are all being followed through all my video tutorials. The pen. So to manufacture or to produce a pen, the raw materials required are listed under the bill of materials, and the operations that will be carried out to complete this production of a pen is listed under the operations, that is the threading, rear assembly and the final assembly. Now I have grouped these separately so that when we are doing the complex bombs, we will see how to consume the material by operation also. So this is just an intro to that. To start off with, we will go to the production module. Production module, we select the production orders. The production order, we create a new production order. We enter our item number here. And we select the color as we have activated the dimension. We have to mention the site. So AX asks, do you want to insert the active versions of bill of material and the route? We click yes. So if you notice, the BOM number and the route number, they have automatically being updated. So if you right click and see into the view details, so we will see our BOM that we have created. If we go to the lines, we will see we have the pen body, the pen clip, spring. Similarly for the route. So here we enter the warehouse. This is the warehouse where the finished good will be put into stock after production. So let's say the main warehouse. Here you need to mention the delivery date. So we'll put the delivery date as, let's say, 1st of August, and the time, the delivery time, and we click create. So if you notice, a new production order has been created with the status as created, and the remain status is not being updated. Now the first step here is to, as I've mentioned earlier, is to estimate the production order. So we click on estimate here under the production order tab. So if you go to the general tab, you will have the profit setting. This we will look into when we're doing complex production orders, how to set profits and against a particular cost group. This is basically to calculate the selling price of the item, which the system suggests a selling price. And this is the batch order execution. We click OK. So if you notice, now the status is changed to estimated. The remaining status is material consumption. Let us see what happens when we have done the estimation. Go to view, go to price calculation, and we will see in the overview costing the estimate consumption of the material and the estimate time required for the production. So this is your standard consumption. Whatever consumption that happens in the course of the production order will be recorded, and it will be shown against the realized consumption. At any stage you can open this form and see what is your realized consumption so far. Now moving to the next stage of production order, that is the scheduling stage. In scheduling we have two types of scheduling. One is operation and job scheduling. Operation scheduling is used when you want to use it on a high level, when you do not want to track the start and end time of each operation, where you want to just enter the time consumed for each operation. Job scheduling is more on the detail level, where you can track the start and end time of each job. As we have noticed earlier in the previous video, in the route we had the three types of times, that is the queue time, the run time, the process time. So each of these can be made as a job. Basically you can have a setup, start and end time, so that could be a job. So if you want to get into such detail, that's when you want to use a job scheduling. So starting off with an operation scheduling, so we have different scheduling directions here. You can explore them. So we just start do a normal scheduling forward from today. In the general tab, starting off with the scheduling references, this setup is used when you have a pegged supply or a subcontracting kind of a production order. We'll look into it when you're doing the complex bombs. The other part of this setup is the limitation, that is the finite capacity, finite material, keep production unit, keep warehouse from resources. Finite capacity and finite material are used basically to calculate the delivery time based on your capacity and the available material. Ignoring this or not selecting this would lead to scheduling which considers infinite capacity or infinite material, which will lead you to wrong scheduling. And then you have the other two setups, that is keep production unit and keep warehouse from resource. This is used basically for selection of resources, whereas when you select keep production unit, so it will select only the resources that is linked to a production unit. And when you say keep warehouse from resources, so if you have selected the warehouse in the BOM for the finished good, it selects the resources only for from that warehouse. Like the BOM lines, you have the warehouses defined, so it filters the resources linked to that particular warehouse and schedules only those resources. So coming to the next tab, cancellation. Here you can put a specific setup, like if you're doing this, basically applies for when you have selected the queue time, setup time, process and overlap and transport time. So if you want to ignore a particular time setup in your production process for a particular production order, you can select these options here. And the last one is the batch. So let's select the scheduling direction as forward from today. Once you have done the scheduling, you go to the view tab, select on capacity reservations. Now in this capacity reservation form, you will notice that in the route, the resources that we have defined, that is the pen finished final assembly, the pen rear assembly, pen thread. So these are the resources that we had selected in our operations for a particular route for the ballpoint pen. So now you notice that all the three resources are being scheduled of the type machine resource type, and the hours for the production also is being scheduled. Just to go back and to see how this is being linked with the route that we had created. So now comparing between the route that we have done and the capacity reservations for a particular production order that we have just scheduled with the operation scheduling. So if you notice that we had the pen threading as the first operation, pen rear assembly as a second operation, and pen final assembly as a third operation in sequence. And for each of these operations, we had given as the runtime, that is 1 hour, 1 hour, and 2 hours respectively. And coming to the resource requirement, we had given it as type resource, and we had selected the resource directly. So in our complex BOM, we will see how to attach a resource group, or how to put capabilities in the complex route and in the complex production order. I will be explaining this as to how to select, or how the system would automatically select a particular resource based on the criteria defined in the resource requirements here. So since this is a simple production order, it's straightforward. I have directly mentioned which resource to select in operation scheduling as well as for job scheduling. Now, if we look at our capacity reservations, since we have done an operation scheduling, it doesn't really concentrate on the start and end time. It only looks at the available number of hours for reservation, and it just reserves the number of hours based on the finite capacity that we had selected there. Scheduling, let's take for example the pen final assembly, the resource. Now on a particular selected resource, to look at the capacity reservations, we select the resource in the resources form, and we go to the capacity reservations. In the capacity reservation, you will notice that 2 hours is being reserved on 31st July. Now to view the capacity reservations that we have seen in the capacity load, we will notice that on 31st of July, you will see that the operation reserved is 2 hours. The job remainder is 22 hours. So if you had selected infinite capacity, like as I just mentioned earlier, where you had to deliver 48 hours of work in just 24 hours, you would notice that overbooked would have come into 24 hours. So this is how basic operation scheduling is. Now we move ahead by doing a job scheduling, wherein we can see the exact start and end time of our particular production order execution. So going back to the production order, go to the schedule tab, click on schedule jobs. You have the similar options here, just that we have a new option here, finite property. We will discuss this when we're doing complex routes, because this is again based on selection of a resources based on the properties defined on a particular resource. And the cancellation tab also has the same options as we had seen in the operation scheduling. Here in the scheduling main screen, we have some new option, that is the job identification. Now the time here, the scheduling direction time. Now this time is dependent on what type of scheduling direction you select. This time is only taken into account when you select forward from scheduling date. So let's select forward from scheduling date, and let's put a time, let's say 9:30, and let's say we are doing it on 31st. Let's say okay. Now if we go to the capacity reservations, we will see that unlike operation scheduling, we have specific start time and end time, and you will notice that our operations in sequence are being scheduled from 9:30 as we had defined in the start time. Similarly, you can go to the resource and check on the capacity reservations and the load. Now moving to the next phase, that is the release phase. Now in this particular phase here, you have the options of printing the job card, the route card. So we click OK. So if you notice, now we have the job card printed, one job card for each operation. So the first one is the pen thread operation. So we can see the start time and end time here and the date. we have the barcode setup, which I will be showing you in the complex routes, how to set up the barcodes. And similarly, you'll notice that the other two operations are also being scheduled. Now the next printout we have on the screen is the route jobs, where we have the jobs in a particular sequence at an overview level, where all the jobs are printed one after the other in sequence manner. So now we have noticed that in the release phase, how the job scheduling and the route scheduling is being printed as job cards and route cards and distributed for the processes to be scheduled and started on time. So this is basically an indication that the resources have to be released for the particular production order to be started. Now going to the start of production order, which is the next phase. Here you can mention what quantity you need to start. Since our production order is for quantity 1, it shows by default 1. If it is for quantity 10, it will show by default 10. But you can choose to partially start production order here and then later come and restart for the remaining quantities in your production order. You have an option to start from which operation to which operation. Now this will look into when we're doing complex BOM, complex route. Remember in the initial slide I had showed which particular items are linked to a particular operation. So you can choose to select a particular operation and AX will issue only those material or print a picking list only for those material linked to the operations that we have scheduled. Now here the date here, it always take the current system date. Coming to the general tab of start. Now here we have quite a few options here. These options are to be basically done one time setup and to be changed only on occasional or exclusive production order basis. To do that, we go to default values. Now here we have to select the journal that is being used for posting the route card and the picking list journal. This by default it flows from the production parameters. You can set these journal names there and it default flows here, or you can come here and set it manually. To create one new job card, you can go right click and go to view details and create a job card directly here. To create a route card, right click, go to view details, click on new. You can say route 1. Now here you can select the series, the number sequence series for it. Now here we have the option. So basically the same form is used for creating a picking list journal and a report as finished journal, job card and route card. It is suggested to create all this as a basic setup before you start implementing the production module. Similarly, you can create the job card and the picking list card journal names here. Once this is done, so you can select your particular journal name. So if you notice here, I can only see journal type of route card listed here. Similarly for picking list, only for the type picking list is listed here. Now let's look at the automatic route consumption and automatic BOM consumption. Automatic route and BOM consumption suggests that the system automatically creates the route card or the picking list with the standard times and standard material consumption defined in the BOM and route respectively. So in the route consumption, we have route group dependent, always, never, and in the automatic BOM consumption, we have flushing principle, always and never. Always and never options function similarly in both the cases, that is in the route and BOM consumption. When you select always, the system always creates a route card and a picking list journal with the suggested consumption and it automatically posts them. When you say never, it does not create a route card, neither a picking list, wherein the user has to manually create the journals, manually enter the picking list lines, that is the BOM lines consumption, and manually create the operation lines. So it is generally suggested to use always. And when you say it's a route group dependent, it means that it checks for the setup in the route group. If you remember, in the route group, we have a checkbox called as report as finished. If you check that, it automatically consumes the time. That is, it creates a route card and the operations and it posts the standard times. And when you say flushing principle, this is based on in the BOM lines where you have a particular field called as the flushing principle, whether you say start or at the end. If you say start, then the materials are consumed when you start the production order, and if you say end, the materials are consumed automatically when you do the report as finished. We will look into it when we are doing complex BOMs and complex production orders. So for the time being, since it's a simple production order, we select always. Ensure that the post route card now and the post picking list now is deactivated. If it is activated, as I mentioned earlier, and since you have selected always, the system will create the route card and the picking list and they will post. We want to like now only the system to only create the route card and the picking list with the suggested consumption, that is the standard consumption, so that we can view it and then post it. The other options that are available on your start screen are pick negative, physical reduction, complete picking list journal, print picking list, and we have end mark route, end mark picking list. End mark route and end mark picking list is used when you want to terminate any more further postings for a particular production order. Like once you have completed the start and you have posted this route card and the picking list, you will not be able to enter any more postings into the production order. You cannot register any more consumption. Physical reduction is selected when, let's say for example, you have raw material requirement for this production order is 11 quantity, whereas in the stock you have only 5 for a particular raw material. So AX automatically reduces the picking list quantity to 5 and it posts it. So if you wanted to do that automatically, then you select physical reduction. Pick negative is activated only if the raw materials item group have physical negative inventory selection activated. Only then this pick negative will be applicable for those items where you allow the production order to pick negative. Complete picking list journal. This is used when you're creating a BOM line with a standard quantity of consumption irrespective of the production order quantity. That is, there's no calculation on the BOM line quantity. In such a scenario, if you do not select this complete picking list journal and if you have mentioned flushing principle or always and post picking list now, it will not include those items. So it is always wise to select complete picking list journal. Now here we have another option, create journal per route type or per operation number. Now this is again, we'll look into it when you're doing complex production order as to how to create a separate picking list for separate operations as mentioned earlier. Now click apply and click OK. You'll notice that the changes that you have done or the values that you have set up in the default values form would have updated in the start intermediate form. You can opt to print the picking list here, where the picking list will be printed so that you can send it to the warehouse to deliver the goods to the designated production shop floor. Click OK. You will notice that the production order status is changed to started and material consumption. So what do we look for once the production is started? Go to view, go to picking list. You'll notice that AX has automatically created a picking list for you with the lines. Go to the lines. Here in lines you'll notice that the proposed quantities and AX has automatically put the consumption. Here you can have the option of changing the consumption. Say for example, when you are doing the production, the pen body B got damaged, so you're using another one, so you can put 2 here because you want to record the consumption, that is the excess consumption, on the same production order for the calculation of the price. You will see that once you have done the end, or we can also see the consumption once you have posted the picking list. So now click post, click OK. Here you will notice that AX has displayed a list of errors stating that the quantity is not available in the warehouse. So it puts a symbol here with a yellow circle and exclamation mark to identify that these items are not available in the stock. So this indicates that the stock in the production warehouse, that is the inventory dimension display warehouse. So you'll notice that in this particular warehouse the stock is not available. From this screen you can go to inventory and click on hand, and you can go to overview and you can see the stock. Here you'll notice that the physical inventory is not available, hence the error. Now if you run the master planning will automatically suggest purchase orders or transfer of these items from the main warehouse to the production shop floor, or purchase order for these items to the main warehouse or directly to the production shop floor. We will look into that when we are doing the master planning, which will be my next set of video tutorials after we completed the production process. For the time being, I will activate pick negative just to continue the production process. I will go back to the picking list journal, go to setup, I'll activate pick negative, go to lines, and I will click post again. And you'll notice that the journal has been posted. Now, next we'll look into the job card. Since we did job scheduling, you'll notice that there's no job card created, which you'll have to create manually. But if you go to the route card, the system has automatically created a route card. If you go to the lines, you'll notice that the system has automatically put the hours as we had defined in the route, and the system has automatically suggested because we have selected always in the start intermediate screen for route consumption. Ensure that operation completed is checked and production report has finished only for the last operation. Click on post, click OK. You notice that the journal has been posted. Now if you want to create a job card, you'll have to go to the job card, create new, select the job journal name, go to lines, and here you'll have to manually select the job, and you can select the employee who is working on that particular operation, give the start time, end time, and the good quantity, and you have to mention end, operation completed. Now once we have completed the picking list and the route card or job card posting, next thing to look at is the consumption. If you go to overview costing, you'll notice that for pen body B we had put quantity 2, so you'll see here the realized consumption to be 2, and if you notice the cost amount has also been doubled here. The next stage is to report as finished. Click on report as finished. In the general tab, you will notice that you will have the similar fields that we had seen in our start intermediate screen, where you can select the route card, picking list, and the report as finished journal name. We are not going to be selecting the picking list and the route card because you have already selected in start, but if you are doing a back flushing, then we'll have to select the journal names here. We'll look into it when we are doing the complex production orders. And then we click OK. You will notice that the production order status is changed from started to report as finished, and remaining status is ended. Now the next step is to end the production order. Click on end, click OK, and you will notice that the production order status is set to ended. Now if you go to view, see production postings, you will see the production posting for each of this stage. By clicking on voucher, you will see all the ledger accounts and their postings here. Similarly, for each phase you can see the postings. And if you go to price calculation and costing sheet, you will notice that the costing sheet, it has been split into raw material and process. This VPC is not updated with cumulative 3. So with the CU3 update, the costing sheet will look exactly same as the one which is there in AX29, with the detailed breakup of the material and the processes as well as the overheads. Thank you.